Hello everyone and welcome. Hello everyone, my name is Beth and this is my Flosstube channel, Busy Bee Stitches. Welcome to my 2023 mid-year check-in. So I know it's been a minute since I filmed a video. I told y'all that you weren't going to see an April check-in from me because I was going to be out of town. And then I also didn't make a May check-in because I had stuff going on with my family. And so now here we are, time for a June check-in, and it's also halfway through the year. So we're gonna check in on my stitching from April, May, June, and then also a mid-year check-in. And you know, I always say that like going through all of my stitching stats and everything, that I would do it even if nobody else thought it was fun, because I like it and I like to be able to capture these things. But I did talk to a couple of people at StitchCon who said that they really loved seeing this, seeing all of my data in my videos. So thank you to those folks. That was so awesome. And so that just makes me even more excited to show y'all my data. So we're gonna start with the mid-year check-in. I'm gonna show you some numbers, some charts. If that's not your thing and you want to skip ahead and just see some stitching, I'm gonna put a link in the description below so that you can just skip right on ahead. But if you're here for the data, let's start with some overview numbers. So from January to the end of June, I stitched 52,887 stitches. And for me, I feel like that's pretty good. I don't have the numbers from previous years to compare, but I'm noticing that I'm being pretty consistent with my stitching, so I'm feeling pretty good about that. I did hear a rumor of another stitcher having stitched over 200,000 stitches so far this year. That's wow, that's a lot. But and I never condone comparing yourself to other stitchers, but if you'd like a more modest idea of you know what a 6-month time period looks like, mine is almost 53,000 stitches. And I stitched for a little over 382 hours. And I worked on 30 different projects in the first 6 months of the year. So now I have a graph to show you. Hopefully you're seeing that on the screen now. I had 9 starts, 12 finishes, and within those I had 5 SAFs, which is a start and finish. And so I had 4 starts that weren't finished, and I had 7 finishes that weren't from starts from this year. And so hopefully the graph that you're seeing, I don't have it in front of me, but I already made it, so I know what it looks like. It shows my it shows each month and how many projects I worked within that month, and then my starts and finishes within that month. I also tracked how many whips I currently had each month. So before January started, I had 36 whips. And you can see on this graph that it's going up and down a little bit, but staying relatively around the, like, you know, over 30, under 40 mark. So I am finishing June with 33 whips. So overall, even though I did starts and things, overall fewer whips than what I started with, which is excellent. And of course, I started out July by starting projects, so it's gonna go back up again. Classic. Next graph I have to show you is the percent of the last 6 months that I stitched. So I stitched on of the days of the first 6 months of the year, I stitched 77% of those days. So yeah, that's not too bad. I mean, I've never been the kind of person that can like commit to stitching every single day. I always think that that's a fun goal to have, and I know lots of stitchers who have stitched every day for 20 years. Like, that is so cool. But I gotta have my like can't get out of bed days. You know, I gotta have my I was so busy I was only home to like sleep days, you know? So 77% of the days, not too bad, I don't think. And finally, we have just a look at my stitch count per month, and we can see here that my best month was March and my worst month was April. And it's obvious why my worst month was April, because I was in Italy on my honeymoon and I was not stitching every day, and the days that I was stitching I wasn't accomplishing a lot, and I was just soaking it in and enjoying my time there. And I did definitely stitch while I was there, and I even, here's a picture of me stitching while I was in Italy, and this was in Cinque Terre. We had an absolutely amazing balcony room overlooking the hills with all the houses on it and the ocean, and it was absolutely incredible. And there was a day where I was like, I know we could explore, but literally all I want to do is just sit here and look at the view and stitch and relax. And that was absolutely perfect. Yeah, we had an absolutely amazing time on our honeymoon, and then we came home to a less amazing time of my grandmother died while we were in Italy, which we were expecting to happen. Doesn't make it suck any less. So we came home and I immediately left again and spent time with my family, which was very much needed, and I was also able to be helpful, which always makes me feel better. And so overall, a bit of a roller coaster there. And then and then less than a week after I got back from visiting my family, my husband broke his arm in a bicycle crash. So it's been quite a couple of months. But we are evening out back again to more normal routine, and I have to say I'm very grateful for that. All right, let's jump into looking at some cross stitch. I'm trying to think if there's like any other life updates that I should share. I went to StitchCon, that was super fun, and I had a really good time there, and also I got to go to the Arepa place, which is a restaurant in Cincinnati that I discovered last year, literally on our way out of Cincinnati after StitchCon, and I've been dreaming about going back all year. So I ate there like 3 times. It was amazing. Overall, an excellent trip. I'm not gonna do like a play-by-play StitchCon recap like a lot of people did, just because it's been a few weeks and I don't know that I really have like much to add other than like I stitched a lot and I had a good time, and it was really awesome to see people, and yeah. But I do have some finishes to show you from StitchCon, because my my mindset going into StitchCon when I was trying to decide what to bring, you know, I always think about like, what can I bring that I don't have to use like a ton of brain on so that I can chat and stitch at the same time. I also like to think about like, what can I bring that's impressive, that like has people stopping as they walk past my table, because I am not a big like get up and wander around and talk to people kind of person. I'm just, you know, I'm an introvert, and so I like to stay put at my table, but I also like for people to come over and say hi to me. Like, I want to meet people and I want to get to know people, and I just don't like having to initiate that interaction. So I think it's fun to stitch on something eye-catching so that when people are walking by, they want to come over and talk to me. And then the third thing I think about when picking projects for StitchCon is what can I bring that I can reasonably finish while I'm there so I get to ring the bell, because that's always fun. And so this year I decided I had several things that were like teetering on close to a finish, and I thought it would be really cool to bring them to StitchCon, focus on getting them done and out of my web pile. So I have some finishes to show you from that. But we are going to go in order like we've been doing in the last several videos from this year. Go in order of like amount of stitching I accomplished. And so we just have like 3 months of stitching to look at rather than one. But I'm gonna do it all combined because that's just easier for me. So first and foremost, what I spent the most time stitching in the last 3 months was Frogwarts Year 3. So you may remember that the first 2 years of Frogwarts I competed like crazy and like pedal to the metal, worked really hard to finish the Frogwarts pattern during the retreat. And I did that both year 1 and year 2. But then year 3, I wasn't able to attend the retreat. I still got the box and everything, but I wasn't able to attend the digital retreat because I had to attend the wedding of like a really close friend or whatever. My husband was in this wedding, you know, it's a big deal wedding for us. So obviously, like, that is way more important than Frogwarts, but I was a little bit sad to not be able to participate in the retreat last year. So this was the first time I had Frogwarts as a whip in my pile throughout the year. So I was waiting and waiting and waiting for Frogwarts to get spun on my whip rotation, and it never did. So I two different times decided to put my whip rotation aside and work on Frogwarts instead. So I want to say May, end of May, I worked on Frogwarts for a large chunk and finished all of the like motifs, all of the smaller motifs throughout the pattern, and then I put it away again, and then right at the end of June I brought it back out to finish the bottom banner, all of the footprints that go throughout the chart and the quote at the bottom. And so I did it. I finished it, and there it is. I love this. I think this might be my favorite year that we've done so far. I love the fabric that I picked. Of course, I have no idea what it is anymore, but I love it. I think it turned out so amazing. And my absolute favorite is Aunt Marge here. I just think that looks so cool. I'm trying to think if there are any personalizations that I should mention to you. Oh yes, yes there are. So in the pattern called for is a little motif that's like a piece of paper, and it says page 394. And I wasn't really feeling that particular motif, and so I didn't stitch it, but for a long time it was just a blank hole in my piece, and I was trying to figure out what to do in that spot instead. I thought about trying to like add a chain onto the time turner, and that was like gonna be annoying to chart, and I couldn't figure out how to make that work in the space. And so finally I came up with what I think is a brilliant idea. And it's right here. Does anyone know what that is? I'll give you a second before I tell you. Okay, so in the third movie, during the credits, it's like the Marauders map in the background, and there are feet like walking all over the map during the credits. and there is like one quick little spot where you see two pairs of feet in the corner. I'll show a picture, and it looks like it is people doing an illicit activity together as a couple. And I just thought that was so funny. And so when I thought of doing that on this pattern, I immediately was like, yes, I have to do that. Let me chart it right away. And it fit perfectly right in that little spot, and I just love it so much. While I'm here, I will show you my year 1 and year 2 also. So here is year 1. I think my favorite part of year 1 is the sorting hat. I just think he looks so cool. And then year 2, and by far the coolest part of this is the basilisk with the, I used a 12 for the writing on the basilisk. Love this. And those were both done on the called for fabric, I believe. And then year 3 that I did on a fabric that I chose. And then year 4, I know it's a spoiler for July, but I did start year 4. So I'm not going to show that in this video, but you will be seeing that in my next video. And if you don't want to wait, I have been recording vlogs of my stitching. I've done that in past years as well. And so those videos are going up every day on this channel. And so you can see what my progress looks like. They're quick videos, so I hope you have fun with those. All right, so Frogwarts year 3. I worked on that for 68 hours over the last few months. And that was 36% of my stitching. So like a considerable amount of effort had to go into finishing that. I always feel like Frogwarts is a deceptively large amount of stitching. It doesn't look like it's that big, but they're dense, and it's a lot. And so yeah, I'm really glad I didn't wait any longer to pull it back out. My whip rotation was not going to do that favor for me. That's okay. All right, next, 20% of my stitching, 38 hours, went into the Rainbow Blocks Challenge by Stitching Book Club. And I did attempt to finish this by the end of May, which was her deadline, or no, it was April 15th to May 15th, I think. But that was almost entirely while I wasn't at home and not dedicating my normal amount of stitching time. And so it didn't get done. But I did a lot. I really did a lot. I think it's absolutely stunning. I love this so much, and I can't wait to get it done. Next, for 12 hours, I worked on my Mirabilia Silver Moon Tea. I worked on this for the first Friday of the month, for multiple months probably. Here's where that is now. I feel like I'm finally making good progress on this. I felt like for like probably a year, I don't remember exactly when I started this, but for probably like a year, I felt like I was putting in like 100 stitches every other month. But I feel like I'm finally making good progress now. I think I worked a lot on this like gray background section, and also bringing this border down, and on this side as well. So yeah, that's what I got. I filled in the tea steam as well, I think, since the last time you've seen it. Next, for 12 hours, I worked on 100 Owls. I believe I worked on this for a couple of 14 of the months with Athena of Stitching Goddess Designs. We both have 14th of the month birthdays, and so we work on this together on the 14th of the month when we can. And I also had this come up in my whip rotation. This is one of the projects in my whip rotation that I'm allowing to repeat, so I think this was a repeat call. And this was a 2020 start, so it's a 1500 stitch goal when I spin it. So that's what it looks like now. I made a lot of good progress on this, and I worked on down here this like big feathery guy. I think it's a gray horned owl. And I love this project. I love this project so much. And can you believe I'm not even halfway done yet? There's so many. I think I might be a quarter of the way done. I think I've done like 25 owls maybe. Maybe not even that many. It's like 20 something for sure. But I still have a long way to go in this project. And I know there are some sections with some really small owls, like in sort of bordery type sections. So I know that I'll increase my owl count much more quickly when I get to those sections. But I know I also have some large guys coming up, so. All right, next spun in my whip rotation was Peacock Keeper by Lindy Stitches. And this was a 2020 start, so I stitched 1500 stitches for my rotation goal. And this was a little bit of a struggle bus project because one, I stitched this in between sessions on frogworts, and so toward the end of working on this, I was just sort of itching to get back to frogworts. And then the other struggle bus part of this is that I am just like not the biggest fan of really involved borders, and this does have quite an involved border. So here's what it looks like now. I brought this border all the way down to the bottom. I put in this big guy right here, brought the bottom border over, and started working on this peacock here. So I got a lot done, and now my next goal after I finish this peacock is to bring this border across and then work on this same stuff over on the other side, which again is a little bit frustrating. Like, I feel like it can get kind of tiresome to work on symmetrical projects where like you have to stitch the same thing twice. But I love how this project looks, and it's not that I'm not enjoying stitching it, it's just that 1500 stitches on this project, I tend to start getting a little bored, which is probably why it hasn't seen as much progress as some of my other 2020 whips. But a 2020 whip that has seen enough progress to finally get a finish. This is Quidditch Jumpers by an Etsy seller that doesn't exist anymore. And I finished this at StitchCon. It does have a giant crease down the middle. Yeah, I don't iron before my videos. That's what it looks like, all done. The only change that I made is I changed the gold color in the Gryffindor sweater because I didn't like the one that was called for. And there you go. This was stitched on 40 count, and so like Frogworts is quite deceptive. I thought I was close to a finish like 4 different times on this project. So when I finished this, not only was I super excited and proud to finish it, but my friends at my table were also super thrilled to see me finish it because they kept hearing me for like 2 years be like, oh, it's almost done. And it was never almost done until now. So Oh, I didn't mention Peacock Keeper I worked on for 11 hours, Quidditch Jumpers almost 11. And that was, those 11 hours were like mostly at StitchCon, and I believe I pulled them out for like Stitch on Harry Potter Day or something. Next was a new start at StitchCon. I was kind of hoping to have a StitchCon new start just because I think that's fun. And for a couple of years now, I have had it in my head that I wanted to get Dorothy's Discovery by Silver Creek Samplers from Keepsakes and start it at StitchCon. I don't know what exactly got this bug up my butt about this particular pattern at StitchCon, buying it at Keepsakes. I think maybe because I might have seen this project for the first time when Steph did it. I don't know. But last year, I found where they keep that pattern and they were sold out. So I didn't get it then. And this year, I found it. So I bought it. And then I looked and looked and looked and looked and looked for fabric. And I had a really hard time picking fabric because I didn't want just a plain neutral. And I couldn't find any greens that were like the right green. And I was just really struggling, honestly. I didn't want to do blue because I didn't want her dress to blend in too much. I didn't want to do it like a too yellowy neutral because there's so much Yellow Brick Road. I don't know. It was hard. I finally found it though. Let me see if I kept the card. Yes, I did. This is Atomic Ranch Freeze in a 16 count Aida. And here's my start. So this fabric is a neutral, but I don't know if you can see, it's got some green modeling through it, which I thought was just perfect for this project. So it took me looking through like all the fabric bins at Keepsakes and then giving up and going to the annex at the convention center, and I finally found this fabric. And I'm also doing a color conversion. I don't know what made me think to do this, but I, for some reason, decided that I wanted to do a silk conversion of this project. Maybe just because I had built it up in my head so much and like how excited I was to do this project, or maybe because I like saw one of these green silks and was like, ooh, you know what would be cool? I really honestly don't remember. But I ended up with silks from multiple different companies. I have greens from both Classic Colorworks Belle Spa and Threadgatherer Silken Colors. So those are the greens that I'm using. And then there's a third like lighter color green, and I have a couple of options for those in some NPIs, and I haven't exactly decided what to do with those yet. And then Dorothy's dress is going to be in NPIs right there. And then I pulled some NPI yellows for the Yellow Brick Road. Oh no, I grabbed a couple of different things. I grabbed from Treenway Silks, I got this yellow and then two other yellows from NPI. And so those three colors will make up my Yellow Brick Road. I am going to use the called for wool for Toto. That's this right here. I've never used wool thread before, so I'm looking forward to that. And then I picked out a Belle Soie for the basket that Toto's in. And then I'm using Belle Soie Cinnamon Stick for the letters, which is really like the primary visual. And I'm loving how that variegation is coming out. And then I have not picked colors yet for like the rainbow and stuff. Now here's the real question. Am I gonna stitch Dorothy's shoes in silver or in ruby? I did pick out a silver metallic for her shoes, but I'm second guessing because there is a little bit of red in other parts of the pattern, and I do think her red shoes like really bring it all together. So, and like, I don't want to only ever represent the book because I also really love the movie. So I've done some silver shoe things in the past, and so maybe it's time to do a ruby slipper. I don't know that I've done a ruby slipper Dorothy in cross stitch yet. So maybe it's time to do a ruby slipper Dorothy. I don't know. Let me know what you think. If you are a fan of the Wizard of Oz books as well as the movie, definitely let me know what you think about Dorothy's shoes. Okay. Next, this was also a finish at StitchCon. I worked on this for a little over 5 hours to get it finished. This is Blackbird by Sapphire Handcrafts, which is also Stitching Book Club. This was a freebie on her Instagram, and she like recently just reposted it. So if you didn't get it the first time, you can still get it. And this was such a fun stitch. I stitched this on PTP, I think J, and I stitched this with Almond M&M's Raven, and I just love it. And the whole time I was stitching this piece, I was singing this song, which was maybe bothering the other people around me, but you know what? We all had fun. So I'm really happy with that finish. Next, I started this probably in April. A bunch of people on Instagram were starting the Sing a Sampler by, is this also by Silver Creek? This might also be Silver Creek. If not, I'll put a correction. Which y'all know me, I don't like stitching multiple things by the same designer at a time, but it's happening. The stars just aligned and it's happening. So this sounded super fun. I wanted to join in on the SAL. So I grabbed a piece of 40 count neutral fabric, and other folks who were doing the SAL, some people were doing the Leo and Roxy floss conversion, and I've never used their floss before, and so I thought that sounded fun. So I got it, and I have really enjoyed working with the flosses. Here is where I didn't get super far, but this is a little under 5 hours of work, probably only over like 2 days. I have to say, I am undecided about this floss conversion. I have nothing against the flosses themselves. I think they're really nice to work with. I just don't know if the brown and the yellow is really working for me. The call for is definitely a little more muted than that. And then I also saw somebody do a rainbow conversion for the borders and the big letters, and I thought that was really fun. So I don't know when I'm gonna pick this up again, but when I do, I'm gonna have to make a decision. And it sucks to like consider scrapping all of this progress. Scrapping 5 hours of stitching like hurts, but this is gonna end up being a pretty big project. I mean, this is gonna be probably this big, and so I don't want to keep going if it's not like speaking to me. And I love this piece, and this is such a fun style that I don't want to be discouraged by it. So I'm gonna make a decision by the time I have to pull this out again. All right, And then for 3.5 hours, I worked on Harry Potter covers by Fox and Teacup. And I'm doing the unattributed version of the pattern because I don't need the author's negativity in my life. I was gonna swear, but I guess I don't really do that on my channel. I don't know. Maybe I do sometimes swear. Who knows? Anyway, I'm gonna swear now. Fuck her. Absolutely not. We're not doing that. But I still am going to keep working on this piece because I love it, and it gives me other happy feelings, even though there are some not so happy feelings mixed up in it too. So here is where I am. I worked on, what did I work on? I worked on probably this bit of book 3. Every time I get this out, I'm like, why don't I work on this more? This is so fun. So clearly it's bringing me some type of joy. And finally, the last project I worked on in the last 3 months was my last finish from StitchCon. This is Grace Hopper from the Women in History series by Clouds Factory. And here she is. I stitched on her for 3 hours for a finish at StitchCon. And for anybody who doesn't know, I had a lot of people asking me at StitchCon. Grace Hopper is an awesome badass lady who was in the Navy, and she was a computer programmer and super cool. She is probably like best known for coining the term computer bug because she found a literal moth in her computer. That's why it wasn't working. And so this is like her, like an excerpt from her notes. She literally taped them off into her notes, which is like the most badass thing ever. So I love her and I love this piece, and I can't wait to have that framed up on my wall. And since Clouds Factory still hasn't heard my begging and pleading and made me a Margaret Hamilton pattern, I think that my third and final piece from that series will be Ada Lovelace. And I have another piece of fabric that matches that. I did Ruth Bader Ginsburg, now Grace Hopper, and I have a... Is that thunder? I think that was thunder. I have a third piece of fabric that matches those two, and so I'll do Ada Lovelace on that. So that was all of my stitching progress from March through June, but I do have some haul to show you now. Oh wait, before I show you haul, let me first show you what I worked on for my Do Stuff rotation. I've been neglecting my Do Stuff rotation a little bit because when I wasn't at home, it was really tricky to work on things. And so, especially the things that I spun. So I am not gonna stress too much about it because this is supposed to be fun and exciting and like challenging, but in a fun way, not in a stressful way. So I'm gonna keep spinning things, I'm gonna keep working on things, but I'm not gonna stress too much about the fact that I'm not gonna get to everything in my rotation this year. That's okay. So I worked on cross-stitching on something that wasn't fabric, and I worked on this luggage tag kit. I bought this from Lindy Stitches, but it's from another company. It's from Chasing Threads. And I was planning to do 4. And this took forever and hurt like hell. I have hypermobile thumbs, and like just in this bottom joint here. And so if you've been watching me for a while, it was the cause of my wrist pain for quite a bit of time last year. And so like doing this grasping motion, which is all you do when you cross stitch, can cause me pain, and I have to monitor that. But pushing the needle up and down through this really thick leather was not comfortable. Very difficult. I did use a fabric thimble with like it's like a fabric thing that goes over your thumb that has like a little metal bit in it. I did try that for a little while. Didn't really help because I'm still like pushing with my thumb, and that's like not helpful. So I don't know if I'm gonna do the other ones. I feel like I should at least do one matching one for me. This is my husband's initials, so I should do one matching one at least for me. I also was planning to backstitch this, and I haven't done that yet. I think it looks cool though. It looks really cool. So maybe those other two that I'm not planning to get to will get gifted, because there's no way I'm doing 4. And then the other thing that I worked on was Bargello. Y'all know that I've been getting Bargello kits from Hello Bargello for a while and had never worked on one. But now I have, and I can say with certainty that I'm really enjoying it, and I do not regret all of the kits that I have and will continue to get. So this is the piece I picked to start, primarily because I thought working on the needlepoint canvas would be easier than the plastic canvas for travel. I don't know if that was true or not, but here's my progress. Wait. I think it goes this way. Here's my progress. And I'm absolutely loving this. It's not gonna take me that much longer to finish it and then get it in the frame, and I think it's so cool. Most of the kits that I have from Hello Bargello are plastic canvas. I think I'm gonna like that better. The needlepoint canvas is just a little difficult to work with, again, for my thumb, but I do think the plastic canvas will be easier. I think the needlepoint canvas also is a little floppy, and so it's hard to like hold it. I don't stitch in hand, and so like there's no frame or anything, and it's not very stable, and I don't love that part. But I'm excited for trying out some plastic canvas Bargello next. So those were the two do stuff rotation things of note that I wanted to show you. So now we can look at haul. Okay, first let's look at what I bought from Color and Cotton, because Color and Cotton finally opened a needlework store right down the street from me. And by down the street, I mean like 25 minutes away from me. But it's the closest I've ever come to having a local LNS. So I'm gonna take it. I think most people who say like they have an LNS near them don't necessarily mean it's 5 minutes away. Like, I think, you know, 30 minutes, not so bad. It's a little tricky for like a, just like pop over for like one little DMC I need. But it's great for a Friday afternoon. I'm done with my work day a little early and want something to do. So I've gone twice now and had a blast both times. The first time I went was the week after opening. The weekend they opened, I was planning to go, and that was the weekend that my husband broke his arm. So that didn't work out, but probably for the best, because it was so crowded, I heard, that it was hard to like maneuver around. And when I went, there was like no one there, so that was nice. So that first trip, I just bought some things that I don't need, but just I thought were pretty. So I bought a couple of Miss Dye Hanks, 3 different quarters, which is 200 yards. So I got, these colors are not really gonna show up. The sun is starting to go down a little bit because I think it's gonna storm. So I got this like more rosy color. And then I got this sort of like terracotta color. Do they have names? No, they're Miss Dye, so they don't have names. And this like dusty purple. And I love these colors so much. No, I do not have plans for what to do with them. If you have ideas, please let me know. Next, I got a piece of 16 count Ada in Vanilla Blush. It's just like a pinky nude. And then I got a piece of 40 count Sandcastle. And it's funny because this piece of fabric I wasn't planning to get. It's a little more pink in person. I wasn't planning to like get this, but I was looking through the fabric and literally 3 different times I was like, you know, looking through a section of fabric and I would go, ooh, this one's pretty. What's this one called? Sandcastle. Oh, okay. And then I would move on and I would look at some more fabric and I'd be like, ooh, this one's really pretty. What's this one called? That's also the same fabric. It's Sandcastle. So after like the 3rd time that I did that, I was like, well, clearly I really like this color. So I bought it. And then I got this hornbook. I believe Angela said her uncle makes these, or her dad. I think her uncle makes these. And it's like a really nice, thick, solid piece of wood. I love this color of the stain on it, so I grabbed that. And then the second time I went to Color and Cotton, I went on a mission. I went to get a few skeins of floss that I needed for Frogwarts Year 4 and then to pick out some fabric. So that was a bit of a roller coaster of emotions because I found what I thought was the perfect fabric. It was this, and of course it's just showing freaking gray on the camera, but it is a beautiful like sagey sea green with like a dark greenish blue modeling through it. It's not even showing remotely close to what it looks like on camera. And it's stunning and perfect. The problem is it's a 28 count. And all of the rest of my Frogwarts patterns are stitched in 32 count. And I really wanted the counts to match so that the sizes would all be the same. So I, you know, went to look at what is this called? Maybe I can order it in 32. It's a limited edition because it's an oops fabric. So it's like a half yard. I think it's a half yard of oops. And I ended up getting it even though I knew it wasn't gonna work for Frogwarts because it was so beautiful and I couldn't part with it. But I'm like really sad that I can't stitch Frogwarts on this. So, and I was kind of limited in the shop of what I could get for Frogwarts because most of the fabric were quarters, or 1/8, and I forget. Either way, they were too small for Frogwarts because Frogwarts is long and skinny, so you really do need a sizable piece of fabric if you're not getting a custom cut. So I really only had a few pieces to look at. If I was looking for a neutral, I would have had so many options. But I was not looking for a neutral for this piece. So I came home with this piece of fabric. This is showing a little more truer on camera than the other one. It does have some like darkish modeling through it that looks kind of greenish, and the green for the maze that goes through Frogwarts Year 4 was looking pretty on this. I was also looking for something that, there's a lot of brown in this year of Frogwarts, and so I was looking for something that all the brown would look pretty on. But ultimately, blue just like really wasn't what I wanted. I really wanted green. Excuse me. So, after I brought this home thinking that like this was gonna be what I was gonna do Frogwarts on, I looked at it and looked at it and looked at it and looked at it, and ultimately decided it wasn't what I wanted. Thankfully, I found something in my stash that worked, that was like similar to this. It doesn't have the depth of modeling and it's not the shade that this is. So it's like really not the same, not really what I was going for. But if I had never seen this, there's nothing wrong with the fabric I picked and I'm perfectly happy with it. So I'll have to find something really special to do with this fabric because it's so pretty. And it will never exist again because it was an oops. All right, next, this was not a purchase, but it was a new acquisition. This was a gift from Lara and Katie of the Black Needle Society of all the things. Lara made me this bag. I believe they picked out the fabrics together. This was for my birthday, so a long time ago. But can you not see how me this fabric is? They absolutely knocked it out of the park with the fabric that they picked. I mean, pine trees, owls, and rusty orange fall plaid colors. Like, are you kidding me? I love this. I love it so much. I have to find the perfect pattern to go in there. Also, on the theme of owl bags, at StitchCon, I bought this bag. This is from Black Cat Stitchery, and it has owls on it, and the inside fabric is like a speckly gray. Currently, I have Dorothy's Discovery in here, although I don't know if it will stay in here. It was just, they both came from StitchCon, so maybe I'll just keep it. That's fun, I guess. But I think this is cute. Next, from StitchCon, I purchased a fabric project roll. I honestly don't know who made this. I have no idea, but I got it from the annex at StitchCon, and it's for like storing a project that you don't want to fold, that you'd rather roll, and it helps protect it. I used a fabric roll for the first time. I got one at Galleria, and I used it to protect my my chessboard when I flew for my wedding, to make sure that it was safe and that it didn't get super creased. So this is what it looks like. It unravels out. And so you put your project in there and then you roll it up like this and your project stays all nice and protected. It's like got like a hard roll in the middle, so it won't bend and nothing will get on it and it will be perfectly safe. So it has these ties to close it, and I really enjoy the one that I have, and so I'm really glad to have another one. And I honestly think that this one is nicer and it's definitely bigger. I really like the thick roll in the middle. I think the other one I have doesn't have quite as solid of a middle. So happy with that. Sorry, I'm just retying it, so it's not a huge mess. So, love this. Next, not a purchase, but I did receive this at StitchCon. This is from Leanne of Forbidden Fiber, and I got this dyed bag from her that says, "Warning, stabbing is my favorite hobby, StitchCon 2023. I love that. She had a bunch of different ones to choose from in all sorts of different colors, and so this is the one that I picked. And they all had different fabric in them. This one is, this looks like it, I can't really read that. Cork or oak, or I don't really know what that says, but this is the fabric. This is what it says. What does that say? Someone help me. What does that say? But it's a piece of 32 count linen and it's very pretty. And then there's also some floss in here. Oh, see? They all say that. O-O-A-K. What does that mean? O-O-A-K. I don't know. I don't know what that means. Someone help me. What does that mean? But these are the flosses that okay with it. So thank you very much, Leanne. And then I bought 2 patterns at StitchCon. One was from Rebel Stitcher. This is a trio of patterns, and the one that I particularly love is if they don't give you a seat at the table, bring a folding chair. I absolutely love that. Excuse me. But also it includes a Good Trouble pattern. I have a Good Trouble pattern in my whip pile right now, but it is huge, and I'm not feeling like particularly inspired by it right now. And I am strong. There's nothing wrong with the pattern. It's just like not speaking to me. So I am strongly considering UFOing that pattern and stitching this one instead. It's just smaller and much more manageable and much more easily displayable, and I could actually like finish it. Whereas this other pattern, I feel like it's gonna take me years to finish. So I don't know, let me know what you think. But love those. Then, and I didn't talk about the cage bird one. I think that one's nice too. It's just like it's just not speaking to me as much as the other two, but that's okay. And then finally, I've been looking at this pattern since Market, and I finally got Works by ABC Exquisite Lace. The annex at StitchCon had the model of this, and it is so stunning. I hit myself in the face with the pattern. It's absolutely stunning. Literally the only reason I didn't buy this before is because her previous lace patterns, maybe just one other previous one, had this really beautiful half stitch texturing in it, but the design was roses, and I'm not super into roses. They're like my least favorite flower. So I didn't get that one, but I've been holding out hope that she would do another one with like the similar style. And then she came out with this one, and it's so stunning, but it's all full X's. It doesn't have the half stitch style that I loved so much. So I was hesitant about it because of that. But after seeing the model, I mean, this thing is huge, but it is gorgeous. So yeah, I couldn't help myself. It is 205 by 331 stitches. So yeah, it's real big. When I was checking out, Barbara asked me if I was going to stitch it as called for, like with the colors that's called for, if I was going to do a different colorway. And I didn't have a good answer for her, so if you have suggestions for me of what colors I should do, let me know. But I'm not opposed to doing it as called for. I think it's really beautiful as called for, but I could also do something else. So let me know what you think. All right, let's see. Do I have any plans? Let's talk about plans. So for the foreseeable future, I'm going to be working on Frogwarts Year 4. I do have to work during Frogwarts, so I'm not competing this year, but I am like participating in the retreat, which I didn't get to do last year, so that's great. And I have started the pattern. I'm on the 3rd day of working on it. And I have, I mean, I'm going to be stitching on that through the retreat for sure. I can't guarantee I'm going to finish it during the retreat, but I'm going to stitch like I'm trying to, and we'll see how close I can get. On my whip rotation, I spun Dorothy's Discovery to come back out. That'll only get 200 stitches in on it, but it'll be nice to pull that out again. And beyond that, I'm just gonna follow my whip rotation and follow my do stuff rotation and see where that takes me. Oh God, it's storming real hard outside. So those are my plans for the next month, and thanks for hanging out with me. I will see you in the next one.